it's the potential for explosive plays is definite and real.
No Christian Harris in the game on Sunday. He'll be out for the first 4 weeks of the season. Here was D'Amico Ryans on the Texans linebackers with no Christian Harris out there.
Yeah, not having Christian is tough. Christian really, man, he took a jump as the year went on last year, was really excited about his growth, and he was in a really great spot for us. So it hurts not having him. With the young guys who are behind him, right? Henry, Jake, Delshon, all those guys have to step up and just do their part, right? They don't have to be Christian. They just have to do what they're supposed to do, play our style of football, and they'll be just fine.
So D'Amico, that's D'Amico on the linebackers there. Yeah, Christian Harris, this is a relatively healthy team. I don't know if people saw yesterday, like the first injury report came out, and I was expecting there, based on how they finished up training camp, I was expecting at least a few names on there. The only name on there was MJ Stewart being out with a knee injury. So that was it. Like they're coming into this game, other than Christian Harris, they're coming into this game a very, very healthy football team right now. So
Will Anderson being healthy and not even on the injury report was really nice to see, because it makes me believe that, okay, he's probably been healthy for a good chunk now, so they don't even have to bother listing him on the report. He'll be full go and full speed and all of that. As far as the linebackers in replacement of Christian Harris, I do feel a lot better about Henry To'oTo'o. And again, one of those plays last year, the first touchdown run that Anthony Richardson had, was Henry To'oTo'o could have done a better job on that. He was kind of slow to react on recognizing draw, and it ended up being the step or two to where he could have at the very least redirected Anthony Richardson and given the defensive backs time to come in and fill. Jonathan Gennard had an angle on him too. So that's where, okay, does Anthony Richardson get 5 yards on that play? Sure. Even if they play it perfectly, he might get 5 yards on that play, but it doesn't end up being an easy touchdown run. Yeah. That part I feel really good about. Henry To'oTo'o, he was talking about yesterday.
You saw what I did
how fat
too.
He was last year.
He was fat.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, Landry was interviewing him, and he just basically said, I was fat last year. And we could see it. You could see in the way he's moving in practice, and just by his cheekbones, you could see it in his face that he's slimmed down some. That's a weight change that I'm 100% for. I get nervous about athletes messing with their weight when they're already playing well, and then they make a change in their weight. You got to be really careful about that. You might have been at your ideal body weight. With To'oTo'o, it was kind of like J.J. Watt in his rookie year. J.J. was a little bit puffy.
Go find it. Yeah,
he looked like a big kid.
Yes.
Yeah, and he changed changed his body type over the next couple of years. Now, I'm not comparing Henry To'oTo'o to J.J. Watt as caliber of player or anything, but for a linebacker especially, he looks like he's moving quicker, and he looks like he's more decisive and playing more instinctively. Last year, he just looked tentative a lot of the time, so I'm not nearly as nervous in having Henry To'oTo'o start this game like I was in week 2 of last year.
I would agree with that.
So, yeah. Oh, and the other big thing, too, comparing this year to week 2 last year, the Colts game last year, I mean, Alshire versus Denzel Perryman is night and day. Denzel Perryman got worked over in coverage a couple times mentally, where I think he probably had some spy duties, and this is the scary thing whenever you spy a quarterback. You got to be really careful that you're not hurting the pass coverage, because then you're usually, with a spy, sometimes if you try to rely too heavily on a spy, because I see a lot of people making that recommendation, hey, just put a spy on them. Mm-hmm. You're kind of tasking somebody with doing the impossible at the expense of doing what's achievable, which is like, all right, this linebacker, this safety, he can cover tight ends and he can cover running backs in the back, but let's make him really bad at coverage, but at the expense of him trying to tackle the guy he can't tackle anyway.
Right.
It'd be like if Sammy had said, hey, Pops, I'm not going to law school this semester. I want to save my tuition in case I get a date with Sydney Sweeney. You're like, all right, well, You're not. Let's be realistic here. I'd much rather have you cover the tight end than try to get that tight end. It's not. One's achievable. So like trying to track down Anthony Richardson in the open field single-handedly is kind of like trying to get a date with Sydney Sweeney. It's hard to do.
Yeah. I don't know. You may have picked the wrong
As
dad.
Sammy and his innumerable letters to Sydney Sweeney would tell you.
You may have picked the wrong dad to put in that analogy. I'd be like, well, that's not a bad idea at all. Snowball's chance.
It's a good point. Yeah. If it does come up, yeah.
That's a good job, kid.
If it does work out, at least you've got that money for the restraining order, to fight the restraining order.
And you at least have interacted with several future lawyers to defend you in court at some point as well.
Yes, yes.
While you've been at law school. Here's one cut before we get out here at top of the hour. Will Anderson Jr., really glad to see that he wasn't on the injury report, and he's ready to go. He feels good.
Yeah, it felt really good, man. We were on the team again, man, and just last week it kind of just, started a little bit, and I missed the guys a lot, man. Just been trying to get right, but it's been exciting.
The part where I miss the guys a lot, he makes it sound like they sent him to California to get his ankle treated or something like that. Like, is there a separation thing that goes on with guys who are banged up like that a little bit?
Well, sometimes you're in, the way they do it these days is sometimes you're in doing treatment while everybody else is out at practice.
Yeah.
So that way your trainers, can give everybody more the time and attention.
Yeah.
So that part is probably true. And I do think that Will is one of those guys that feels guilty when you're not out there practicing with everybody else. You feel like you feel guilty. It's some guys feel that way. Others are like, hell yeah, I'm staying in here in the air conditioning. I think Will is wired a little bit more like the former.
I would agree with that. All right, as we head into the 9 o'clock hour, continuing to get ready for Sunday, man. Colts and Texans, noon kickoff here on Sports Radio 610. We've got football tonight on Sports Radio 610, the Ravens and the Chiefs. You can hear that Thursday night football. The season opener tonight here on Sports Radio 610. 27 anonymous coaches and executives answer questions about the upcoming season. Where does C.J. Stroud fit on their rankings of quarterbacks you would start a team with? How lucky are we right now? We will talk about that. What's the hope level right now in Houston as well compared to other NFL cities? We'll get to that coming up next. But first, Texas Star Grill Shop. Football.
Insider access, exclusive content, Sports Radio 610. The Texans play here. An Odyssey sports station.
Sports Radio 610 presents Payne and Pendergast.
All right, good to be with you. Into the 9 o'clock hour we go. Payne and Pendergast. Texans Colts on Sunday at noon. Should be fun. Go see the fellas today. The afternoon guys are out in Katy at Buffalo Wild Wings. They're out every Thursday and every Friday
cowards.
this football season. Yeah. Do it. We're gonna
I stepped on your. I stepped on the time. What time are they out there, cowards?
2 to 6. The afternoon guys are at Buffalo Wild Wings in Katy today. So head out if you're out that way. Head out and see them. But they're out there. They're on the road every Thursday and Friday this football season. You got Thirsty Thursdays and Football Fridays, man. So we'll have. I'm sure that schedule is up somewhere. I think I saw it on social media. So be on the lookout for that. But, yeah, go see the guys today. Get you ready for Thursday Night Football. Ravens and Chiefs. So, man, The Athletic was cranking out the anonymous people rankings of things yesterday. Boy, were they ever. The NFL decision makers' predictions for the upcoming season. 27 prominent decision makers, coaches and executives, were asked the same 7 questions throughout training camp and the preseason. And the Texans show up a little bit in here in one of the questions that we'll get to. But before we get to C.J. Stroud, Seth, these are the voters who, in my opinion, are required to unmask themselves and get out from behind their veil of anonymity because they were selections that must be explained. Yeah. Again, 27 anonymous coaches and executives answer these questions. There was one that voted for Saquon Barkley for MVP this coming season.
Oh, so listen. No matter how much you look, people know that I was kind of down on Saquon Barkley as being somebody the Texans should target for various reasons. So, a very unpopular opinion by me, I know. But I will say, regardless of if I was the biggest Saquon Barkley fan in the world, thinking that a running back will be or should be the MVP in this day and age is absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
On a team that's been to a Super Bowl in the last 2 years, and a team that's got a ton of offensive weapons on it already. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a better pick for MVP than Saquon Barkley. So I'm not saying it can't happen. It's not impossible, but it's just one of those things that's so outside the box. You must show yourself. And at the very least, you can't brag if he actually does win it because you picked him under the veil of anonymity.
No. This is the argument I would make on his behalf, though. I could see an avenue by which Christian McCaffrey would win the MVP if you do something all-purpose. Because with Saquon, it has to include, with running backs these days, it's got to be in both the running and the passing game. And if the Eagles unlock and really tap into, I don't even want to say unlock, tap into his potential as a receiving threat while he also does something on the ground, I could see it happening. So I would not fire that guy based on this one opinion.
Okay. I don't want to fire him. I just need to know who he is. It's such an outside-the-box opinion. You can't hide behind the anonymity. I got a couple more. The 2 guys.
NFL, he's not so great.
Yep.
Or it is somebody in the AFC West that's like just, Antonio Pierce or somebody. Like, no, screw him. Never. Never. I hate him.
It's the only valid explanation, man. Like, how can you not have Patrick Mahomes in your top 3 that you would build a team around is insane.
Especially because you consider these days, with the way quarterbacks don't get hit, Pat Mahomes will probably, if he chooses to, play another 10 years. No problem. What's the over-under on years remaining for Pat Mahomes? I would say it's somewhere around 10 years,
Oh,
right?
Yeah. He's not even 30 yet, is he? I'm not sure. He's probably...
I think he's like 23.
He came in 2017, so he's in year 8. Yeah, he's probably 30, like there. But, yeah, I would say I'd put it at 8.5, and I would pound the over on that. The only thing that would keep Mahomes from playing another decade is if he wants to spend more time with his family and he feels like he's accomplished enough. Like physically, again, barring like his knee getting, just turned at a 90-degree angle, he'll physically be able to do it for a long, long time, I think, for sure. I need the other voters, I need to unmask themselves. Whoever voted for Kyle Hamilton as best defensive player in the league, I'm not angry at you. I'm really just curious who voted for him for that, and it makes me a little sad that we don't have Kyle Hamilton on the Houston Texans. That's
I wonder,
all.
did they have a quote on that one from the guy that voted for him? A lot of things, especially Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator last year. That's another big storyline tonight is new defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Line of scrimmage with those simulated blitzes, and when you can mess with your safety and you've got a super athletic one, it does. We've seen Pittsburgh. It's a lot of fun for a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I guess I should just to.
But right, is MVP is league MVP?
No.
Best defensive player in the league.
Best defensive player in the league, which is still. I still think it's. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think he's a great player. That might be a little bit of a reach. By the way, the winners of these categories, I'm talking about who I want to unmask themselves. Patrick Mahomes was a runaway winner among the 27 voters. Vote for Patrick Mahomes.
That took a lot of abuse and everything, but he also his mobility wasn't his calling card.